So I'm sure most of you here love your grandparents, if not all of you. Well, my grandpa was my best friend, and he was a self-taught body man, and he came here from Yugoslavia in the 1960s to start a family. And he was known and loved by everybody in our small town. He taught me how to tie my shoes, how to ride my bike, obviously, how to play catch. He was so tight-knit into the community, everybody loved him. And when he would work on cars in our garage, I would go in and I would admire everything he did. I wanted to be just like him, and we had a bond that felt unbreakable, but it turns out that it was. So Alzheimer's is defined as a chronic neurodegenerative disease, and it was discovered by Dr. Alois Alzheimer in 1906. It was found when Dr. Alzheimer was doing an autopsy on a woman who died of a mysterious mental illness, and when she was alive, she had symptoms of unpredictable behavior, language problems, and memory loss. And when he dug deep into her brain, he found amyloid plaques, which are little clumps of bundles of fiber. And we now know that that is a huge cause for Alzheimer's. So the disease starts off subtle, but it worsens a lot over time, and it lasts around 8 to 12 years. And there's three main stages, which are mild dementia, severe dementia, and moderate dementia. And it is the sixth leading cause of death in the United States overall, and third amongst people over the age of 65, right behind heart disease and cancer. And according to the Alzheimer's Association, the amount of people with Alzheimer's is said to double by the year 2037. And on January 4th, 2011, President Barack Obama signed the NAPA Act, which stands for the National Alzheimer's Project Act. And it is a plan to maintain an integrated plan to overcome Alzheimer's in the future. And over the years, a lot of scientists have found a lot of information regarding treatments, symptoms, and causes of the disease. So, as I said earlier, there are three stages, and stage one is mild dementia, and that's when the patient has trouble coming up with the right words during conversations, remembering names, and having trouble doing their daily routines they've been doing for years. And the second stage is moderate dementia, and this is the biggest stage, like this lasts the longest. And this is when they become forgetful of their personal background, such as their name or phone number, and even their address. And mood swings are very common during this stage, and so is this thing called sundowning. And sundowning is when the patient becomes very hostile between 5 and 6 p.m. when the sun goes down. And that's said to be caused by light changes, shadows, and just being tired from the end of the day. And also something very common during this stage is they lose their concept of what time it is and like what the weather is. Like for example, one time my grandpa, he put on this huge like winter scarf, and he went outside in the middle of July, and he thought it was completely normal. Like I know that sounds crazy, but they just lose their concept of it. And the last stage is known as severe dementia, and this is the last stage before death occurs. And this is where the patient needs round-the-clock care. They begin to lose their concept of how to walk, how to talk, and even how to swallow. And there's no way to stop these symptoms from happening, but there are ways to lessen the symptoms, and that's to create a daily routine, have family and friends visit frequently so they can remember them more. And also, keeping noise to a minimum plays a vital role in keeping the memory more intact. So there are a lot of causes that could cause Alzheimer's, but the biggest one is age. And every year after the age of 60, your chances of developing Alzheimer's doubles. So if you have a 5% chance at the age of 60, when you're 70, it rises up to 10%. And if you have a family member with the Alzheimer's gene, such as a brother or a parent or grandpa, like me, you have a higher risk of getting it, so please pray for me. But factors for heart disease also have factors for Alzheimer's, such as obesity, lack of fruits and vegetables, and even smoking. And the brain has millions of neurons in the brain, and a lot of these cells, they transmit messages via electric and chemical signals, and they send messages from the brain to the organs and the muscles of the body. And Alzheimer's disrupts this communication, and it results in loss of function and cell death. So there's a lot of different ways that doctors can diagnose someone with Alzheimer's, and first they start off with a physical exam and they test your cognitive skills, your memory skills, and your problem-solving skills. And if they need to dive deeper, they do a magnetic resonance imaging scan, which is an MRI scan, and they use powerful magnets and radio waves to take pictures of the brain. And then they also use the positron emission tomography scan, which is a PET scan. And that uses radioactive tracers to highlight amyloid protein plaques in the brain. I know it's really sciencey and kind of hard for you to like listen to and like understand it, but that's like the main cause of Alzheimer's, those amyloid plaques. So as of 2018, there is no cure for Alzheimer's disease, but scientists have come up with a lot of ways to lessen the symptoms, like I said earlier, and they're starting to look at plaques, and they're the beta amyloid plaques I was talking about, and they're using a drug called monoclonal antibodies, and these are replacements of your natural antibodies, and they're stronger, and they have the ability to kill all the invaders in your body, and they could potentially get rid of Alzheimer's in your system. And they also are looking at this new thing called epigenetics, and that's a really newly found form of treatment, and they've only just started doing testing on it. But it's supposed to be able to eliminate the Alzheimer's gene from your body. Again, it's probably going to take years for it to happen, but hopefully it does, and it'll save a lot of lives. So there are thousands of charities and organizations that work hard each and every day to end Alzheimer's. And amongst the biggest ones are the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, and the Bright Focus Program. And the Alzheimer's Association hosts an annual walk to end Alzheimer's every year in over 600 communities. And I participated in it this past October on the walkway. That's where I got this cute shirt. And hopefully, it was a great experience, and I really hope that with all the money they're raising, they could find a cure. So as I said earlier, it turns out that our bond was breakable. My grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when I was 8 years old, and I thought it was just slight memory loss at first because I was 8 years old. But it got worse and worse over time, and I knew that it would tear me apart. I had to remind him how to tie his shoes, how to ride a bike, and I had to teach him how to play catch. And it's so crazy because he taught me those things, and now I had to teach him. But it even got to the point where he asked me who I was, and being 10 years old and hearing your grandpa who taught you everything say that, it's a pretty like indescribable feeling. And I hope that if we pull together and work hard enough, we can end Alzheimer's. That's it.